The Mass family has been super good looking for ages. They're like walking beauty ads, and people love them for it, which also means they make a ton of cash. The oldest son, Okis, is an internet superstar with millions of followers because he's hot. He's also like some love expert who gives guys tips on how to impress their crushes. The dad, Parkar, was a major player back in the day, dating over 1,200 girls before meeting their mom. Speaking of mom, she's got some strong features and rocks a noticeable mustache. Then there's Kulin, the youngest and the hottest of them all. The family is pretty used to living the glam life, except for Kuslin. He struggles to live normally because he's just too handsome. He wishes he was only kinda cute so he could go out without being chased by fangirls. Girls go nuts over him, fainting, pulling their hair, and even getting nosebleeds just from seeing his face. Because of this, Kulin has never had a real chat with a girl. He avoids going out as much as possible and has been homeschooled all this time. His only friend is his pet fish, and he even plays cards and talks to it. His family watches him through a camera, worried about his lonely life. They want him to have a normal teenage life and do everything they can to help. Okis keeps showing him pictures of girls, trying to set him up. But Kulin's type? Girls who don't like him. He wants someone to see past his looks and like him for who he is. When nothing works to get Kulin out of the house, the family comes up with a wild plan. They decide to fake being broke to guilt him into going to school. One night, Kulin wakes up for a drink, and his parents pretend to be super stressed about money. They dramatically say they'll only eat scrambled eggs until they can afford his homeschooling again. Feeling terrible, Kulin decides the next morning that he'll go to school for the next semester. The family is super excited until Kulin says he'll only go to an all-boys school. They'd rather he learn to talk to girls, but hey, one step at a time. A few days later, it's Kulin's first day at a real school. Okis drops him off on his bike, but Kulin keeps his helmet on, planning to wear it all day to hide his good looks. But, plot twist, the helmet makes him even more noticeable. Kulin tries to chill in the back row, but the class bully, Saidi, and his goons spot him. When the teacher walks in, she's shocked to see a guy in a helmet and tells him to take it off. Reluctantly, Kulin removes it, revealing his face in dramatic slow-mo. Next thing you know, the teacher's being wheeled into an ambulance because she got a nosebleed and freaked out over Kulin's looks. The other kids complain to the principal that Kulin is too handsome to be in their class. Kulin tries to escape but gets tripped by the bullies. They drag him to the storeroom and do a cheesy Power Rangers-style intro. They call themselves the Tiga Tak, a trio of bullies led by Saidi, who's the principal's son. After the goofy intro, they tell Kulin they need his help to ask a girl to prom. They've been stuck in senior year for 3 years because Saidi refuses to graduate without taking the hottest girl in school, Amanda, to prom. But she only says yes to good-looking guys, so they want Kulin to ask her for Saidi. They assign an innocent guy, Kibo, to help Kulin. Poor Kibo has also been a victim of their pranks and has no choice but to obey. Later, Kulin goes to the principal's office with Kibo to report the bullying. Kibo knows nothing will change but tags along anyway. The principal is super stressed about his son, Saidi, refusing to graduate. Since Kulin's looks are their ticket to get Amanda to prom, the principal insists that Kulin and Kibo do whatever the bullies ask. That evening, Kulin and Kibo decide to tackle the proposal the next day and get it over with. Kibo is the first person to be kind to Kulin without being dazzled by his looks. Despite the chaos of the day, Kulin's glad to have made a friend. The next morning, they head to BBM's school. The girls at the school are so strict about not letting ugly boys in that when they see Kulin in his helmet, they all demand he take it off. In a dramatic moment, Kulin finally reveals his face, and the girls go absolutely wild. Within hours, clips of the girls crying, getting nosebleeds, and acting crazy start flooding social media. Kulin quickly becomes known as the too handsome to handle guy. Amanda, the school's hottest student and model, sees the news and is instantly smitten. She decides to make it her mission to win him over. The buzz around Kulin gets so huge that a crowd of girls starts gathering outside the Mass family's house. The family, now charging for house tours, makes Kulin feel like a circus attraction. Watching this on TV, Kulin feels totally betrayed and used by his own family. To make matters worse, his pet fish gets mishandled and killed by the tourists. Kulin ends up hiding on a rooftop to escape the crazed fans. Suddenly, a girl appears behind him and asks if he's thinking about jumping. Kulin is stunned because she's the first person who doesn't faint or get a nosebleed from seeing him. She doesn't stick around to chat and just walks away. leaving Kuklin feeling oddly reassured. Later, Kuklin calls Kibo, who comes to pick him up and invites him to stay at his place. Kibo and his grandmother are super welcoming and let Kuklin stay as long as he needs. When Kuklin walks into Kibo's room, he's blown away by Kibo's rare collectible playing cards. They bond over their shared interests, including their love for card collecting. The next day, Kuklin and Kibo head to the all-girls school to track down the girl from the rooftop. While they're there, they also run into Amanda and hand over the proposal files from Cede. Amanda pretends not to care about Kuklin's looks, but once he leaves, she's hit with a major nosebleed. Kuklin spots his crush on the stairs, but the crowd of girls around him won't let him get close. Over the next few days, Kibo and Kuklin become best buds, hanging out all the time. One afternoon, Kibo takes Kuklin to play futsal, where he usually meets his crush, Rire. After the match, Kuklin sees the girl from the rooftop working at a nearby shop and can't stop staring. Kibo introduces Rire to Kuklin, and Kuklin finds out that Rire is also Kibo's crush. They seem pretty close, which makes Kuklin feel super jealous. That night, Kuklin has trouble sleeping because he's not used to feeling this way. Remembering that Ahmes is a love guru, he arranges a meeting with him. The next morning, Ahmes is overjoyed and emotional, finally getting the chance to give his brother advice on girls. Kuklin forgives his family for turning him into a public spectacle because it led him to meet Rire. The brothers go grocery shopping while Ahmes shares tips on how to impress a crush. Kuklin follows Ahmes' advice, but realizes he still doesn't know Rire as well as Kibo does. Despite that, he's not ready to give up on his first crush. Later, Amanda shows up at the boys' school and hands Kuklin an invite to her birthday party, along with a phone as a gift. That evening, Kibo, Kuklin, and Rire head to karaoke. When Rire and Kuklin sing together, Kuklin is excited, but Rire's attention is all on Kibo. Kuklin quickly figures out that Rire likes Kibo too, and his heart sinks with jealousy. So when Kibo isn't around, Kuklin straight up asks Rire if she has a crush on him. Rire initially denies it, but when Kuklin lies and says Kibo is into Amanda, her face gives it all away. Back home, Kuklin calls Amanda and asks her for a favor. She's super eager to help with anything he needs. The next day, Amanda's birthday party is packed with people. When Kuklin and Kibo show up, Amanda greets them, but seems way more interested in Kibo than Kuklin. She even pulls Kibo aside for a private chat. Meanwhile, Rire arrives at the party and sees Amanda kissing Kibo. Heartbroken, she runs outside. Seizing the moment, Kuklin confesses his feelings to Rire. She thanks him but says she only sees him as a friend. Even after betraying his best friend, Kuklin gets nothing in return. The bullies, who also saw Amanda kissing Kibo, are furious. They beat up Kibo while Kuklin, paralyzed with fear, just watches from the sidelines. Later, Kuklin takes Kibo home and helps his grandmother tend to Kibo's wounds. Seeing Kibo in pain makes Kuklin realize he's made a massive mistake. The next day, Kibo hands Kuklin a legendary card from his collection that Kuklin had been dying to get. Overwhelmed with guilt, Kuklin confesses all his wrongdoings. Kibo is hurt and shocked by the betrayal and says he would have left Rire if he'd known Kuklin liked her too. Kuklin feels even worse after hearing that. Kibo finally tells him to leave the house, and Kuklin, knowing he's in the wrong, does just that. After a month, Kuklin returns home. His family is thrilled, but Kuklin is not. He locks himself in his room and avoids everyone, missing his best friend deeply. Whenever he and Kibo cross paths, they only exchange glances, with no words. One night, Kuklin's mother, worried about him, brings him his pet fish, which turns out to be alive after all. She tells him he can go back to being homeschooled if that's what he wants. The family just wants him to be happy and is willing to do whatever it takes. Touched by her words, Kuklin realizes he has people who care about him. This gives him the push he needs to make things right with Kibo. The next morning, Kuklin rushes to Rire and tells her everything. Then he goes to Kibo to apologize. Kibo brushes him off at first, but when Kuklin mentions Rire, Kibo opens up about how much he loves her. Kuklin then reveals that Rire has been listening on the phone the whole time. This helps mend their friendship, and they all become friends again. A few days later, they all go to prom together. Kibo's date is Rire, and Kuklin's date is Amanda. As expected, Kuklin and Amanda win prom king and queen. Kuklin hears a girl say he's only mildly handsome and feels a spark of interest, hinting at a new relationship.